Hey everyone, I'm Katie Daryl, and today we are at home and social with Timothy B. Schmit. How are you, Timothy?
I am pretty well, thank you. How are
Well,
you?
I'm good. Thank you for asking. Thanks for asking. Celebration is in order because you have officially released Day by Day, your seventh solo album, Lucky Little Seven. How's it feel?
It feels good, it's what I do, and I'm always happy when I finish a project and uh, and start the next one, which I'm already doing. So
Do you ever just relax, man? Come on.
um, I I find it hard to relax, but I do occasionally. I like to work.
When you're working on a project like this album, Day by Day, how long do you keep it private and with you and just the people working on the album versus sharing tidbits with, say, your wife or, a neighbor, a friend, a confidant?
Oh, I probably keep it fairly private for at least, until it has some sort of form to it, and then it just depends. It depends on if anybody wants to listen to it. I'm not. I'd rather have people listen to it in its final form.
Mhm.
And my wife, she's when I first met her a long time ago, over 40 years ago. um, she was, and I told her what I did. She was so unimpressed that it was totally attractive, you know. So she's not really in on too much of it. Not that she doesn't care. She, when it's time for her to listen, she'll tell
It's to quote Shania Twain, that don't impress me much, right?
me.
All right, so let's talk about that. You brought it up, your past, and so 40 years ago, meeting your wife, and there you are. You're in a pretty important band, one would say, the Eagles. At what point did that set into your brain and your mindset that you're like, here I am, I'm playing like I'm involved with something that's pretty important to the music industry?
Well, when I first caught wind that I was going to be asked, because it sort of leaked through a mutual friend of Don and Glenn and mine, JD Souther. He used to live across the street from me, and he's the one that said, "Yeah, I think you're going to get a call." And it was, I almost couldn't believe it, and I did get the call, and ever since then I've felt uh, so fortunate,
Mhm.
because I knew this was something big, and the mind blower is how long it's lasted, through personnel changes, through death, through all kinds of stuff. Uh, that it's all because of the songs that
Yeah.
Don and Glenn wrote, and mostly, and that's, you know that's why it's important. People are still coming to see us because of the song power, and it's not lost on me.
For those of you just joining us, I'm Katie Daryl, and he is Timothy B. Schmidt, singer, songwriter, bass player, rock star extraordinaire, icon since the 70s, working with obviously the Eagles, Steely Dan. You've toured with Ringo Starr, if anyone knows who that guy is. Do you have, obviously we read, as journalists, we read press releases that kind of laundry list your accomplishments. When you read and preview these lists, and is it the same way you would put it down? What we find important, is that the same importance for you and what you've done in your career, or does it vary? Do you wish that there was something else added to that laundry list?
Well, honestly, I don't really think about it that much. I'm very, I have a lot of feathers in my cap,
Mm.
that I feel very fortunate to have worked with so many great people, and some other musicians that, and on songs, maybe sang with other people on their records, where it you might not even know them, but it was still very rewarding.
Now, this is your third consecutive solo penned album, meaning you wrote all the songs. Why is that important to you?
It's important to me because I wasn't, out of all those past albums,
Mhm.
the songs that I liked best, just personally, I don't know that they were the best, but personally, were the songs that I had written by myself, maybe one or two on each album. and when you collaborate, and there's nothing wrong with that. Some great songs have been obviously been written by collaboration, but there isn't a certain amount of compromise, right? And I decided I'm just gonna, like 3 albums ago, I decided to just do it all myself, no matter how long it took. And it kind of takes a long time with my lack of speed in coming up with stuff. But I have no deadline, so it didn't matter. And then I can say and do. I have no one to say, what do you think of this? I have no one to say, I don't like that. I just do what I want to do. And being in the Eagles allows me to have this kind of freedom with my solo career. So, and I have a lot of fun. It's a lot of work. It's very fulfilling. I had a friend who once said there's 2 great parts to, I think it might have been JD. I'm not sure. So I shouldn't quote that, but there are 2 favorite parts of songwriting. And the first one is when you first get an idea, like a kernel of an idea. And the second great part is when it's finished. Everything else in there in between is work. And it's work. It's work I love to do.
And it's work you get to do a lot of the times with friends. You have a lot of great collaborators on this album. I'll be the name dropper, and you kind of just comment along the way. First and foremost, Lindsey Buckingham is on this album, pulling out a lot of power guitar for you. What was that phone call like? I mean, you're buds with this guy. You guys have been in the industry for so long. Is it awkward to invite a friend to come and work on an album, or is this something that you've been talking about for years? How did this unfold?
Well, I'm not close. We're not close, but we are friendly. We have been for years, and we occasionally talk to each other or text. And I just thought Lindsey would be a guy I could try. Just it's easy. You call or you email or whatever, and say, are you interested? Here, you want to hear a song that I might want you to play on if you're into it. And it's kind of that simple. They can either accept or not, or maybe they're busy. Lindsey said right away, I have just enough time. I could do it next week. And I said, great. And he was very humble, and we had a lot of fun that day. And he seemed to enjoy himself. And there have been others in the past, say 3 albums, where most people, here's what I do. I go, who would be best for this certain part? And I might think of somebody, and I'd go like, geez, I don't know that person, but I'd find out how to get a hold of them or management and ask. And I'd say 85% of the time, people actually said yes. So it was really great.
For those of you just tuning in, I'm Katie Daryl. He is Timothy B. Schmit. The new solo album from this iconic rock star is available now. It's called Day by Day. We were just talking that Lindsey Buckingham's on the album, and so is John Fogerty. Oh, have you ever seen The Rain? I mean, this guy's voice. Let's talk about the talents of John.
Well, John, I've actually known not really well, but since my early days in my first band, because I was my first band is when I was living in Sacramento. I got together with guys in high school, and we formed a band. And right after high school, we made our first record. And Creedence Clearwater had a former name, and we used to occasionally play shows with them. And it was the same 4 guys. And so I've kind of known him, and we've been aware of each other since then. And I actually ran into John pre-COVID at a store just in front of Christmas a few years ago. And I said, would you ever be into helping me maybe sing on something if I find the right song? And he said, yeah. He gave me his phone number, and basically that's how that all started.
Also on this album, Jackson Browne. And you actually have a fun story about this, because I think you said that Jackson Browne said he wrote, was writing and really honing his skills early on in life, and you still feel like you're just hitting your stride right now. Talk about, the experience of working with Jackson and having those 2 different mindsets in the studio together.
Well, I've known Jackson a long time, and we've always really gotten along, and he's a really good guy. And I wanted on this song, the song is called Grinding Stone. I put both Jackson and John Fogerty on it. I didn't want, you know, three of my voices, although they all heard my guide voices. And by the way, he did not say that. I'm the one that said, you know, I had this conversation with him and said, you know, I can't believe some of the stuff you were writing at such a young age. I was not even close, not even close. I'm not sure if I'm close yet, but I didn't start really seriously writing, I think, until much, much later. And but that didn't really play into our time together on this album. He came as a singer, and he wanted to, as did John, at different times, by the way. And they both wanted to get what I wanted out of them, and I did, and they stayed and worked really hard until that happened. So, you know, good thing.
What is it like? How do you get the best performance out of people when you are producing them? Do you have a trick?
No. The trick is to usually I have people who know what they're doing, for one thing. Some other people don't have in my past, and maybe a couple of albums ago, I had people over who weren't really harmony singers, so I had to like coach them a lot. But the whole trick, if you're producing a record or producing somebody, you definitely don't want to intimidate them. You want to ease it along. And most of the time it's not hard because they, like I said, they know what they're doing, they're pros. I have to say too, without the name dropping thing, there's a lot of people on this album that don't have those kind of names, who are just as, no pun intended, instrumental in this record as anybody else. So I just wanted to put that in there. Just because I could have, 40 well-known names, but without the songs, without the production, without all that, it doesn't really mean that much.
I agree. And now this was all recorded at your home studio, right? Yeah,
like 97% of it. Yeah.
The home studio is called Moose Lodge. Now this is
one word.
Yeah. Oh, Moose Lodge, one word. Okay. But this is located in the Los Angeles area. There's not a lot of moose around here. How did you come across this name?
I honestly don't remember. I just came up with it once and made it one word. I was sorry I didn't make moose spelled like the dessert though.
Yeah, Yummy Lodge. I love it. It. Are you into baking and desserts and that sort of craft?
Well, I'm pretty much of a sugar junkie, so I don't eat it. I really don't. I really stay away from it. It's not hard after you stop for a few days. It's not good for me. I encourage it for anybody who wants to enjoy it. And once in a great while, I will too. But I have to be careful because I'm apt to eat the whole box of cookies. So I would basically stay away from it. And it's not that hard after you've done it for a while.
You have a daughter, right?
I have two daughters.
All right. So growing up, were you the parent that stole the candy from the Easter basket or the Halloween bucket? Well,
no, we really didn't have much candy or sodas and like that stuff around, and we still hear about that sometimes. No, I mean there were occasions for that, but it wasn't like a regular thing.
For those of you just joining us, we are at home and social with Timothy B. Schmit, iconic singer, songwriter, bass player. You know him from the Eagles and his work with Steely Dan and Ringo Starr and everyone else under the stars. Let's talk about this album. It's called Day by Day. It's a solo project, and you call yourself a folk singer at heart. When did you first fall in love with folk and decide that that's where it hit home for you?
Well, I had some friends in probably late grade school who I had a friend, he's still a really great friend. My old band members in Sacramento I'm still really close to them. But we started off as a trio, and it was this is a long time ago. It was in the late 60s where folk music was a happening thing at the time. There were TV shows and stuff centered around folk music. And my best friend had an older brother who had other friends that played a little bit, and there were ukuleles, banjos sitting around, and we started picking them up and learning how to play, and then we started singing together, and then it turned into three of us, and that's what I mean about a folk singer at heart. So, and also I write all my songs on acoustic guitar, and I usually get down a lead vocal before I do anything else. And eventually in mid high school, we found a guy with a set of drums. So we said, "Do you want to be in the band?" And then we all borrowed electric instruments, and then that whole thing started.
What advice do you have to someone who wants to be a songwriter? Because as you've said, you feel like you're still trying to get into your stride, and you've been doing this for a long time. So, someone who wants to put up the pen and paper and their acoustic guitar, where should they start?
From the heart. That I guess it's, they have to be prepared to write a whole bunch of bad stuff, I think, and just get through it. And you have to pick up the guitar or whatever your instrument is, and you have to start singing. You have to start coming up with ideas, no matter what they are. In other words, you have to actually make the effort to start, and it may not be easy. But it's the whole idea, I think, is in this business, to even be a musician or a singer or a writer, is that it has some element of fun. I mean, that's why my friends and I started, because it was fun. It suited us, and we were equipped to kind of have that kind of fun, and that's the most important thing.
Can I talk about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame?
Sure.
I mean, it's so fun. You were inducted along with the Eagles back in 1998. It is Rock and Roll Hall of Fame season these days, right? All the voting and ballots this is that time of year. What was that experience like? Because I know that it is a bit of a polarizing topic for some, musicians, whether the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is legit or who gets in and who doesn't. And what does it mean to you to have been inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame?
It means that I was just really fortunate. I actually, the first LA band I joined was Poco, and I actually rode the coattails of that. I replaced Randy Meisner in the band Poco, who eventually became the Eagles bass player. And when he quit, I took over his place. So I made a point to thank him in my little speechette. Regarding that, because I did follow him into being part of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and I didn't want that to pass by. It's a great honor. What can I say? I don't know how deep down, I don't know how legitimate any of these award things are, but it's a nice thing to have, and makes your mom proud and all that.
We're all doing it for mom, right? Well, before I let you go, I want to talk about your music interests and your collecting habit. What is one of the oldest records you probably have in your record collection at home? Something that you maybe bought and paid for as a teenager, or, maybe you're not much of a hoarder and it's something you bought just a couple months ago because you started your collection up again.
Well, honestly, my mother, speaking of my mom, passed away quite a few years ago, and I still haven't gone through my stash of stuff. And my guess is there's some stuff in there, because she was a hoarder. She saved everything. The first record I bought, I had to have been 9 or 10 years old, was a 45 of Elvis. It was Hound Dog, and the other side was a song called Don't Be Cruel. And that I do remember. I haven't saved a lot of stuff in my own possession. I mean, like I said, I'll probably unearth some stuff. I'm not a big hoarder. In fact, when vinyl went south for so long, I actually got rid of all the vinyl that I had except for anything I participated on. So I still have that stuff, but I don't have any like, well, the real relics or the recordings my dad did. They used to be, they were 78 recordings, that
Wow.
78 speed, 78 RPM. Those were actually, if you drop them, they'll shatter. So I do have that. I do have some old recordings of my father.
All right, everyone. Well, the new album by Timothy B. Schmit is called Day by Day. It is available now. Make sure you go out and grab it. Timothy, you're going to be hitting the road and letting us hear some of these songs in person?
I hope so. I have to see what the Eagles are up to first. I'm not quite sure what's going on after June. And as soon as I figure that out, I'll try and figure out a plan.
It's still so fun to say it, though, right? I got to check with the band, the Eagles.
My other job.
All right, Timothy, thank you so much. And congratulations on another great studio album solo.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Hey there. Thanks for watching AXS TV. Subscribe, follow, like, and do all the good stuff. And make sure you leave a comment below. I don't know. Just let us know what your favorite AXS TV show is, or who your favorite bands are, and what artists you're into, or just say hi, man. I'd like to be told hi. We love hearing from you. That's the point, all right? Keep it coming.